Thanks for joining today's webinar on When Matterport Simply Won't Suffice. My name is Mike Lerg, CTO of PIX. Also on the call today, we have Chris Sayer, our Senior Art Director. And between us, we have over 60 years of experience in virtual reality and different technologies for multiple industries. And for about the last 7 years, been focused on the commercial real estate industry in particular. And we've never seen VR used as prevalently as we do today, especially when it comes to doing virtual tours for pre-leasing, pre-marketing, as well as other applications of the whole life cycle of a property. And there's two types of VR tour experiences. The first being a passive VR experience where you have Google Street View, Matterport, iGuide, things where they're based upon spherical photographs, 360 images. And so you can look around and you can jump from point to point, but you can't freely navigate. You can't make changes to the scene. And so it's a very static experience. In terms of active VR, that's where it's based upon a 3D model, and it's dynamic in that you can make changes to the scene, change materials, and freely navigate and walk through the space. One of the key things about the passive experience is you need to have access to the site for the photography to take place. And so oftentimes with COVID, that makes it difficult. Also, that means that the property needs to be staged and lit and photo ready, which for a renovation, rehabilitation, or repurposing of a property, it's not in its end state ready to be marketed. And so I'll bring up an example of a Google Street View. This is downtown Raleigh. And so as you can see, we can look around. I can jump from point to point again. Most people are familiar with this type of technology. But again, I can't walk down the sidewalks. I can't walk into most of the buildings. There's limitations as to what buildings you can have an interior tour on, things like that.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind too, while we're looking at this, is that remember that because this is a static capture at a particular point in time, that is what you're going to see for good. Unless you recapture this entire scene with a camera. Unlike an active VR experience, you're going to have the ability to alter some factors within the scene. With a passive VR experience, you don't have that capability. It is set in place, and what you see is what you get at the point of capture.
Yeah, definitely. As Chris was just bringing up, there's certain cases where a photograph of the site is clearly not going to be beneficial to the property. So as we come into this particular space, and let's say we drop down into here, definitely not even safe to walk through. You can't give any on-site tours. And this definitely captures the existing conditions of the property that's been vandalized over the years, but definitely not worthy of marketing. And so we've done some things similar to some virtual tours of properties that are in the similar state that we'll demonstrate here shortly. This is an example of an active VR experience to where then we can make changes to the scene. You can dynamically walk through it, and I'll let Chris give a demonstration of this.
Yeah, and so what you're going to see once this loads up inside the web player here is, as Mike said, it's going to be a very dynamic experience. And what we mean by that is the ability to interact and alter the environment, move freely throughout it. So unlike the passive experience where we were stuck from one point to the next, I can come in this scene and I can move to whatever viewpoint I like. That is full freedom of movement and interaction with the viewpoint of the camera that is inside the scene. So I can look anywhere I want without having to click on a bubble or click on a point within the spherical image that was captured. This is a full 3D model by comparison, which makes it completely interactive and immersive. And so now what I can do here is I can come up to one of our viewpoints. I can click throughout, so I can have a full tour of the exterior. We'll take a look at the back of the property real quick. But what's even more important is that we can go and look at the floor plan layout for each of the floors of this building interactively. I can come in here, I can load up one of the plans, I can take a look at it from a different angle, I can zoom in and zoom out to get a greater understanding of what the layout looks like. And then when I'm happy with that, I can actually drop right into it. So we'll go straight into let's go to the first floor walkthrough. And let's demonstrate a little bit more about an active VR experience. So as you can see here, we're inside the entryway, overlaid over the floor, the wall, and some of the carpeting here. Is we have the ability to select multiple finishes. So I can come in here and with an interactive virtual experience, I can customize each of these assets. I can come in here and I can say, let's just go with blue. And then let's come over here and we can change out the carpet. And this is something that you're not going to be able to do with a passive VR experience because it is a point captured in time of a location in its existing state. Whereas here, we have a full virtual 3D model that we're able to interact with, freely navigate, and alter the surfaces to our desired texture. And so if we come back up here, let's take a look at the first floor view again. You can see it's taken those changes that we've put into place and it has applied it throughout the model where appropriate. So we've got our carpeting now that's been changed, we have our marble that's been changed, and we have our wall colors that also have changed. Okay, back to you, Mike.
Yep. So one of the key things about VR tours is they're definitely trending and actually increasing. There's over 5 million tours each day, which then there's been numerous studies that have shown that 3/4 of the population cannot visualize a 3D space by looking at 2D drawings. That includes renderings, but especially when you're looking at site plans or floor plans, people just cannot envision what it's like to be in that space, especially if you have options like we just showed there, where you want to have a condominium with different packages of interior finishes, and you're looking at swatches of materials. And then that leads to about 3/4 of the people wanting a VR tour before visiting a property. And of course, that gives them the ability to visit 10, 15 properties virtually in the time it would take to drive to and from one of them. But then that also reduces the number of wasted viewings by brokers because by 40%, because people are more likely to like the property because they've seen it in VR before seeing it in person. And that, of course, then doubles not only the viewer's interest in the listings, but also that doubles the making of reservations for those viewings. So it makes the broker's time much more effective and efficient. So some of the key aspects of the best uses for VR, especially active VR, is for new developments where the building doesn't exist yet, for permit approvals, fundraising and pre-leasing pre-sales, rehabilitation projects, redesign, reconfiguration, as well as rebranding, repositioning. Anytime you're going to be changing the building in a substantial way to where the current state of the building does not depict the way you want to market it. And so you can't photograph the end state of that property. So this example is for a development for an industrial site. So, might be a delay on my clicking. And so, go ahead, Chris. I'll let you take it over.
Okay, and yeah, so what you're going to see in this example is once again the interactive nature of an active VR experience. And what we're going to show here is how, through the power of VR and a fully realized interactive model, we can incorporate a lot more data into the experience and show the true value of what an interactive VR experience is in terms of marketing and understanding of a property. And so once again, we can come straight to the office entry here, and just as we demonstrated earlier, change out the materials. So we can come in here and we can say, let's take a look at what this would look like with maybe a glass, material placed over the front here. And if we go back over to the overhead, maybe we'll want to understand where this building is in the world. Where exactly is it located? And so clicking on our little map button here is going to open up an Google Maps directly in our application here. So we can get a great understanding of where this piece of land is located. We can explore just as if we hadn't left our web page, and we can see where that's located. The other thing we can do too is we can have information embedded into the scene that will then pop up a web page. In this case, for this particular example, this is taking you to the PIX website, and that just opens up a new tab. And while these are all, really nice to have and helpful, some of the greater power lies in going into the warehouse area here and getting a greater understanding of the individual components that make up this warehouse. And so what might be of importance is understanding the sprinkler system. So we can click this, and that is then going to pull up a video explaining the particular sprinkler system that is installed here and the value of it and how that works. The other thing we can do is we can click on the lighting, and we can even order a set of lights from within the application here. And we can order replacements and get an understanding of what the values of these particular lights are and how much they cost. And then finally, we can do the same thing with the doors. We can also see what doors are here, and we can come through and we can get a full catalog of what the makeup is of this door. So you can see we can not only have a completely interactive, fully realized virtual experience that you can walk through freely anywhere you want, but you can also embed information into this that can be very valuable when it comes to either the leasing, selling, or investment opportunities of a particular piece of property or a site, on the fly. And so the other thing I just want to show real quick too is while we're here, let's go over to the office floor plan real quick, just to show the power of an active, VR experience here. We're able to go from the outside to the inside warehouse, and from the inside warehouse all the way over to the office layout. And we can see exactly what this looks like. Keep in mind the site is, this is before the site is built. So you can have a really good understanding of the layout of the office spaces. And if needed, in an active VR experience, we can alter the layout and then republish this tour to change how the offices are laid out if it's not the way, suitable for the way it was originally designed. That can't be done with a passive VR experience where you're capturing the data on site. You're getting what you're getting, and that's it. That's how it's going to work. And so, we can take a look from overhead, and then we can drop right in, and we can have a full VR tour looking through each of these individual offices. So very valuable.
In this next example, it's a residential plan that was getting ready for construction. And in the process of doing the VR tour, the clients actually discovered there was several areas of improvement they could make before they actually started to break ground and do some minor changes that didn't require permit approvals, things like that. And give you an example here. If we drop into the entrance, as you stand here, one of the key things is you can see this really long hallway. And at first, these walls were both plain walls, but it kind of gave you a tunnel vision. So they added some paneling here to break it up. Also, these stairs that you're looking at started this way and came down. So you'd have to go down the hallway, go down the stairs, end up in the basement, go back again. So they decided to flip that around. And those are some of the things that they couldn't see by looking at just the plans. But one of the ones I think that really is impacting is when you look at this space, and this was going to be a media room, and they decided to change it into a small personal home office. But instead of having this be the solid wall that it was designed to be originally, which would still maintain that kind of tunnel vision where you would only see the living room from this point, you now have this open cornered glass, which really opens up so you can see the whole great room. So I'll hand this over to Chris to here.
Yeah, and so hopefully, even what Mike was just explaining helps to showcase a little bit of the power of an interactive VR tour versus passive. So, the site's not built, site's still under design, how are you going to market it, or how are you going to better understand the design aspects of that? So, you know, what you need is you need some way of experiencing it. And with an active VR tour, we're able to come in here prior to any design decisions being finalized and take a walkthrough of it, see what it feels like, see what it looks like, and just understand all of the elements and you know, how the designs impact the overall look and feel of the entire, in this case, home. The other thing that's really, you know, great about an interactive VR tour is we have the ability here so that once you have your designs down and you have your 3D model in place, this can be used in your marketing phase now. So we can take a look from here, and let's say that, you know, we want to take this VR model that we have embedded in our website, so it's already there, and we want to put it in some, you know, 2D marketing materials. Maybe we want to make some brochures, some flyers, whatever it might be, or we just want to post some pictures to our Facebook page or whatnot. You can come over here, and just with one press of your keyboard on the P key, you have a full-fledged high-quality render that can be taken from any point within the model at no additional cost, which means that once you have a 3D model and a virtual tour built, you have unlimited renderings that you can take from that model. So, you know, with traditional methods of, you know, doing renders today, you're paying per render. In the case that we're showcasing here, you're paying for the 3D model, and all of the renders are free, and you get to take as many as you like from any angle that you like and use them towards marketing. So something that you know, you're not going to be able to do with the passive experience if a site doesn't exist, because there's nothing to capture.
This next example for the new development of this condominium complex, it was critical for them to be able to show not just the interior of the units, but also the ability to show packaged materials, 4 different packages of finishes for countertops, cabinets, wall color, flooring, things like that. And so while this building was in the construction phase, we were able to go in and actually build the 3D model of the entire property, give you an overview of the entire site, and we can drop in and actually look at, sorry about that, go in and actually drop into the, say, the 2-bedroom unit here, for example. And once this loads, you'll be able to see that for each of these units, there's the A, B, C, and D at the bottom here. And that gives you the ability to change those finishes. So if I come around, for example, and come here and look at the kitchen area, you can see we basically have white backsplash, white countertops, you know, tan walls. And if I choose the option D, for example, we now have gray countertop or cabinets, dark wood flooring, and going back to the kitchen area here. So just a different look and feel. So instead of looking at swatches of materials and samples and color chips, you actually can get a feel for what it's like to actually be in the space itself. By the way, this particular development, they're able to pre-sell over 94% of the units for this first building. And while the second building, phase 2, was in the design phase, they're able to get deposits on 80% of the units for phase 2's building before that building's design was complete. So it's highly successful to be able to pre-sell that many units in advance. This rehabilitation project, this is a building in an urban development area of Chicago. It was a schoolhouse at one time, long since been abandoned and getting converted over to apartments. And so again, similar to those interior images that we showed you earlier, where there's no electricity, the cables are all torn out on the walls for the copper, all of that, we were able to build a virtual tour and depict it in its finished state. And with this particular property, they were able to get deposits on 8 of the 24 apartments while they were still in the first 2 months of just clearing out the old construction, old building, old materials, and clearing out non-structural walls before the actual construction began on the renovation itself. So to be able to pre-lease a third of the units while they still were in the demolition phase of this, the interior was quite incredible. Again, we can go up to the top floor to show the overall layout. And then we can drop into, say, the 2-bedroom unit. And so this is much easier to give a tour of this type of a space to pre-sell or pre-lease a property. Again, long before construction is complete. That also helps with the funding becoming available, the likelihood of getting funding on, say, a phase 2 of a project when phase 1 has already been pre-sold. And so through the whole life cycle of a property has profound benefits. This next property was a gym. The upper floor was 12,000 square feet of gym that was then closed during the early stages of COVID and the pandemic. And so the real estate brokers wanted to depict this property in 3 different ways. One was vacant to depict the space with all non-structural walls removed. It's just as though the building was construction was complete. For potential retail use, also as a medical clinic, as well as a high-tech office. I'll let Chris go ahead and drive.
So as you can see with any one of our active VR experiences here, we are looking at the exterior of the building that once again we can move throughout freely and look at it from any angle that we desire. This is something you can do in any one of the active VR tours. So to take a look at the floor plan view, all we have to do is one click on our menu up here, and that's going to take us to an overhead view of the interior with no walls laid out within it, the vacant space itself. And if we want to go into it, one click is going to take us into the space. And now we can have a full active VR experience within the space. So we can walk throughout this, get a great understanding of where the windows are, what the open layout looks like, and just kind of gauge overall just how large it is. But what's really nice about an active VR experience is that we can also go in and we can create multiple layouts of the same space. So now let's take a look at what this looks like as a medical clinic. And what you're going to see is before we had our vacant space, now we're going to have all of the walls demising where the nurses' stations are, where the examination rooms are, where the bathrooms are. And so we'll come back up here to the floor plan view. And now you're looking at the exact same space that was vacant before with all of the elements laid out and everything completely architecturally put in place. So let's go take a interior walkabout real quick. And that's one of the things that's really nice about these active VR experiences is that you have that capability of going into a particular piece of property or a space and reconfiguring it to whatever it might need to be. In this case, we've got this medical clinic here. And so you can see just what a difference it makes to the level of understanding when you're able to put all the walls in and lay out all the furnishings, how much easier it is to not only envision, but experience the property. Whereas before, maybe if you're showing somebody a 2D site plan of something or some blueprints, you're hoping that they understand exactly what this layout looks like and what it will feel like. With an active VR experience, we're cutting out that part of the equation where you're hoping somebody understands, and we're bringing the understanding straight to your fingertips on any device. So now that we've seen the medical clinic, let's take a look at the high-tech office. So once again, same building, same floor, completely different layout with different components that you're going to be able to experience just by clicking right in the upper right-hand corner. And so you can see here now where there used to be examination rooms, we have offices, we have enclosed offices, we have open office areas around the interior perimeter, and then we've also have a little eatery, and we have some conferencing rooms. And so let's walk in here. You can see right off the bat, we're also starting off with the ability to walk over to the opposite direction here, whereas the medical clinic was closed off so that the waiting room was sitting there and you had to go past reception. Now we come over here and you can see that this is a completely different look and feel, all within the same space. And all just by pressing one of these individual icons on the bottom here, we're able to load those up and compare and contrast the layout, look and feel, and overall, floor plan for each one of these designs. And that's something you're going to be able to do in active VR experience that you won't be able to do in a passive VR experience. Because as we've said before, what you see is what you get. The way the site is built or what it looks like at the moment is what you're going to be capturing. Unlike an active VR experience where you have the ability to alter it, make changes over time, change materials, and even go so far as what we've done here, which is come up with completely different layouts in multiple ways and showcase the property for different use cases, one being vacant, possibly retail, the other one being for medical, and finally the last one being for office.
This next use case is quite interesting. The building owner, let me go back one here. The owner architect for this building was getting ready to sell it. One of the tenants within the building was Trek Bicycles, and they were looking to possibly move out of the building and build themselves a new regional headquarters in this area. And so we're going to go ahead and load up the first of the VR tours. You can kind of see that the windows are of a dated design, very kind of dark and claustrophobic in those areas. Lack of branding on the outside. And one of the key things is to, where is it? You want to see the second floor? Is the main area change that was very apparent with Trek's design. You see all these closed offices in this area. And so we can actually drop into the walkthrough to see what it's like to walk through that space. And so there's open area with the closed offices around the perimeter. And so you could have some open cubicles in this area. But again, it's very standardized and kind of on the dated side of the design. And so with the input from Trek and the client, we're able to completely rebrand and resurface the building and relay out the interiors. You'll see that the windows were changed out to be much more open. Some veneer siding was changed to update that. And I'll go ahead and let Chris take over the demonstration from here.
Yeah, so, compare and contrast the original building design. As you can see now, we've got Trek logoing on the front here. We have the Trek logo on the left-hand side of the building. We've also changed all of the materials going around the building to better suit the look and corporate feel of what makes Trek branding Trek. So we've got these, as Mike pointed out, what used to be prison bar style windows are now nice and open, letting a lot of light in. We've also got the different coloring here, a little red stripe that goes down, that helps to showcase the Trek branding, and also different materials of brick and some other materials that we've got going on out here. Now, the thing to really pay attention to is how when we go to, let's go to the museum here. And let's take a look at what Mike was talking about earlier, where we had these office areas around the perimeter here and, some open space in the center for, some desks and whatever you might want to put in there. What's been done here in this case is helping to showcase the art of the possible for Trek here. And in this case, it's a museum that showcases the history of Trek bikes. And so as you see, as we look around this, the entire interior here has been gutted and changed to suit, this particular need. So we've got a couple of conference rooms over in the two corners of the perimeter here. And then we've got a stage set up so that, you know, you can have some presentations, you can have a movie displaying here, and, you know, have people come in and learn a little bit more about treks, or maybe have a session on how to fix your tire, or how to change this, or maybe it's a sporting event where the Trek is participating in, you know, a Tour de France or something like that. So, you know, this helps to showcase and better understand exactly the possibilities of the space by putting it into an active VR experience, and then letting the user have that experience, and you know, instead of looking at some static 2D floor plans. And so let's go here to the walkthrough aspect of it. And once again, you know, if we were to capture this building using active VR, you would have had what you saw earlier, which was a bunch of offices lining this, an open area in the center here, and that would be it. You would not have the ability to show the future end state of this vision. You would have to try to explain to somebody, now imagine yourself in this space, imagine your branding, imagine this, imagine that. And, you know, what we like to do is we like to say, you know, you come up with the idea, and then for the end client, let's make that happen so that they don't get confused. They don't have a hard time imagining something. They can experience it. And that's the idea here, is you can have a full walkthrough of this space with the completely new layout, complete branding on it, and, you know, take a virtual tour from anywhere in the world on any internet-enabled device. So you could walk through this on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, on your computer, and it doesn't matter if it's a Windows-based computer, if it's an Apple-based computer, as long as it has an internet-enabled connection to it, then, you know, and you can run Chrome or, you know, Safari, whatever it is that you're running, you have access to one of these active VR experiences. And, you know, you start to see the value in this versus, you know, at times where Matterport just won't cut it. It just won't give you what it is that you're looking for in terms of your marketing or investment potential from the property.
So again, for the life cycle management aspect, again, in terms of pre-development, be able to using it for planning, permit approvals, capital raising, as well as design review, in the case of that single family home example. And then of course for development, doing pre-sales and pre-leasing, as well as construction management, making sure that what's being built in the virtual environment or in the real world is matching what was designed in the virtual environment. And then of course, ongoing sales and leasing, as well as asset and property management. So one of the key things is the sooner that 3D and VR is used in the life cycle of a property, the more return on investment you get, because each of these follow-on uses is an incremental cost rather than a huge start over, because you're starting from the 3D model that already exists and just repurposing that asset as it evolves through the life cycle. So that it increases the return on investment of the design and the virtual and the VR model itself, but also increases the value of the property by making sure that it's the best design possible for that property and for that use. So again, some of the key benefits is with active VR, we don't need to have access to the property itself. We don't need to be on site. We can work from site plans and some simple photographs. You can also freely navigate, explore, and modify the property in any different way you want. As we've shown, you have a full configuration capability. And we can also keep track of the prices. If changing from a standard countertop to Corian to marble has different price points, so we can keep track of those upgrades. It's also ideal for pre-construction, construction, and renovation properties, anywhere where it's not ready to be photographed. Also provides you the ability to do those what-if scenarios, for example, being able to switch out from the plane building to Trek, or from the gym to retail to medical or tech office, and just go what if it's used for different purposes. Or even then, other examples is having the same office space, but laying it out as an open office versus a closed office layout for different types of tenants. And again, we talk about the life cycle, being able to use it for multiple purposes and saving that money over time, because once you have that 3D model, you have unlimited renderings. be able to use it through marketing for either electronic, digital marketing, as well as traditional marketing collateral. And so that adds value over time, which then of course increases your return on investment and lower your costs by being able to market your property sooner for those pre-sales, pre-leasing efforts. So this time I want to open any questions to anybody who's attending. We do have a video replay of this will be posted to you tomorrow, and you can feel free to forward that on to others as you deem appropriate. And I believe our next webinar next week is on reconfiguring, repurposing, and repositioning properties and how to use VR to help in that process. Thanks for your time and hope you have a good day. Thanks.